Once upon a time, there was an old asylum on the outskirts of the town. Everyone believed it was cursed and haunted. The walls of the building were darkened, and the windows were shattered. Over time, people began to stay away from it. But one night, a brave group of kids decided to enter the asylum. The bravest of them all was 10-year-old Emra. His friends always called him Scaredy Cat, but this time, Emra was determined to prove them wrong. One evening, he and his friends walked up to the gates of the asylum. At that moment, they noticed something moving behind the gates. A rustling sound came from inside. Emra's heart began to race, but they still decided to go in. The asylum's hallways were terrifying. With every step, they heard the creaking of the wooden floor beneath them. Suddenly, they heard a whisper from afar. Go ... go ... leave ... double quotes. Emra and his friends exchanged fearful glances when, out of nowhere, a door at the far end creaked open on its own. Curiosity got the best of them, and they entered the room. The room looked like it hadn't been used in years. But something was there. They could hear someone crying softly. Emra and his friends decided to find the source of the sound. The crying seemed to come from an old chest in the corner of the room. When they opened the chest, they found something inside. It was the spirit of a patient who had died when the asylum was first opened. Suddenly, the lights in the room went out, and everything turned pitch black. The children screamed and started running. But no matter which door they ran to, it was as if shadows were following them. Panicking, they ran outside, only to find themselves in a cemetery. But the cemetery was just as terrifying. The gravestones looked like they had their names engraved on them, and they seemed to watch them with cold, lifeless eyes. Suddenly, someone emerged from one of the graves. It was the patient who had died years ago. Slowly, the spirit surrounded the children and whispered in a deep voice, "Now you are with me." From that day on, none of the children ever returned to the town. But the townspeople say that every night, they still hear screams coming from the forest between the asylum and the cemetery.